And the breaking news just coming in at this point of time, India is firm on Rohingya refugees. Centre has submitted affidavit in Apex Court. India Rohingya threat to security. It has said some Rohingyas have allied with terrorists as well. Around 40,000 Rohingyas are living illegally in India, and the Centre has submitted its affidavit in Apex Court, Supreme Court. So India is firm on Rohingya refugees. So Centre has submitted an affidavit in Apex Court, Supreme Court, saying that Rohingya is a threat to security of the country. Well, around 40,000 Rohingyas are living illegally in country in different parts of India. And it's also been said that some Rohingyas have allied with terrorists. So again, 40,000 Rohingyas are living illegally in India, and we're joined by our correspondent Molly Gambhir from the newsroom. Molly, first of all, what more details you have on this story? So 40,000 Rohingya are living in India illegally. India is firm on Rohingyas refugees. The Centre has submitted the affidavit in Apex Court on this issue. There are around 40,000 Rohingyas living in different parts of India, including Delhi NCR region. Some are over there in some parts of Jammu as well. India is firm on Rohingya refugees. Over the last few days, we have seen this crisis is taking a global shape, but India has said that Rohingyas is a threat to security of the country. And it's also said some Rohingyas are terrorists, so India is firm on Rohingya refugees. We are joined by our correspondent Molly Gambhir, who is joining us from the newsroom. Molly, first of all, what more details you have about this story?
Let me just get you up to speed, first of all, with what that affidavit which has been submitted by the Centre to the Apex Court on the Rohingya issue really states. Number one, it says that they are a threat to the country's security, also going on and stating that the government of India has intelligence information that some of them have links with terror organizations. Sumit, these are the key takeaways that we're getting to you from the Centre's affidavit that has been submitted on the Rohingya issue to the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court should not interfere, as this issue does not come under fundamental rights. This is a strongly worded statement that's coming in from the Centre, Sumit, when it comes to the humanitarian crisis, which is of Myanmar's making, but is now spilled over into India and Bangladesh. What else does that affidavit really state? It also goes on to say that this does not come under Schedule 8. There are 40,000 Rohingyas living illegally. The government of India is free to act as per the United Nations rules. Also bring in further context to these developments. Sumit, remember, India had earlier on as well issued a strongly worded rebuttal to the criticism that had come its way from the United Nations, saying that it is looking into the crisis very seriously, but at the same time adding, yes, go ahead. Right,
Molly. We're also joining by Jessica Taneja, our legal correspondent, is joining us. Jessica, what more details you have on this story? We know the Centre has submitted an affidavit in Supreme Court. Give us a perspective on this story.
Well, Sumit, the Centre, in fact, as you mentioned, has submitted an affidavit in the Apex Court. It said that they do not live in India. They are a threat to the country's national security as well. So that case maiden point is also a bit, it's a bit stringent sort of an action coming out of the Apex Court. The fact that, this is the issue that has gripped the country at this point in time. And when the Centre submits an affidavit saying this, it certainly creates a sort of a situation for the Rohingyas who have been, waiting, in fact, on the Indian borders as well. Remember, this is a much contested issue, and in fact, the Centre has told the Apex Court that this does not come under the Schedule 8, and there are about 40,000 Rohingyas living illegally. And it says government of India is free to act as per the United Nations rules. So one will have to wait and see as to what exactly the government does and how this case proceeds. When we're looking at 18 September is when the Apex Court is going to hear the matter next.
And Jessica, also some mentions have been made as far as linking of Rohingyas to terrorists is concerned. So give us some sense of how Centre has linked the Rohingyas' presence in India as a security threat as well.
Well, here the government of India, at least in their affidavit, is saying that they have some intel information that some of the links with the terror, some of them might have links with terror organizations, but one cannot really ascertain that fact from it. Till the time things are not more clearer as to when the hearing begins, these are the kind of points that are coming across. But I think one should wait for when the hearing begins. This is just the centre's submission on part of their clarification. Remember, the Apex Court had sought a report from the centre as to what they will do with those immigrants waiting on the Indian border. So now that they have given brief outline as to what they intend to do, this is their answer. They feel the centre, in fact, has clearly said that some of them might have links with terror organizations, and they might be and they are in fact a threat to the country's security.
Also, Jessica, at a time when this is becoming a global issue, how do we see the developments happening in India in the light of global developments? And as far as UN's intervention is concerned, how should we link it to the global intervention in the Rohingya issue in Myanmar?
Well, Sumit, when it comes to the global intervention, you already heard the United Nations, General Secretary Antonio Guterres also talk in the morning about the fact that, that one needs to pay more attention to the Rohingya crisis, what that has been happening all over. In fact, remember, some 40,000 Rohingyas are just in India, but many of them have fled from Myanmar and are now stuck at the border in Bangladesh without food, without proper aid, water, or houses. So that again has become a problem. In fact, the global community is strengthened on condemning this particular as what they call a genocide. But as far as India is concerned, I think we'll have to wait for the centre's action. This is their affidavit, but one will have to wait as what the stance of the centre is after this.
And also any clarity on the deportation issue, Jessica, because the deportation is also one of the issues. And so any clarity where will they be deported back to Myanmar, or any clarity on the deportation of these Rohingyas from India?
Well, Sumit, one cannot just go and assume and say anything about that at this point in time. But, one will have to, again, I would reinstate, one will have to wait and see on how the Apex Court deals with this particular hearing. I think not misconstruing facts or putting some unverified sources would not be appropriate at this point in time. Remember, this is a very crucial issue. So I think one needs to wait for what the clear stance the centre has. But right now, what is given in its affidavit is that it considers Rohingyas to be a threat to national security. Right. But one will wait for the centre to clarify as to what they mean by this.
Right, Jessica. Thank you for getting us all these details on this breaking story, which is coming at this moment.